This is Rise. Let's lock in with the goal of changing one life at a time. Yours. Together, let us rise up, inspire, strengthen, and elevate our minds. It's time to rise on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello, my name is Dr. Saran Heron, and welcome to Rise. Today we're going to talk about cultivating the habit of hope. My guest today is Edie Summers, a consultant, wellness coach, and speaker on holistic well-being and leadership. With close to 30 years experience, she's worked in the wellness sector with startups or companies helping to move the needle on health and well-being. She is the author of the book, The Memory of Health, which helps people improve energy from chronic illness, burnout, or improve their overall well-being from any major life, health, or wellness challenge. Almost 30 years, like I mentioned, in holistic wellness. She is here to talk about how you can cultivate the habit of hope in your life by making the necessary changes in your life. Her mission is to teach people how to be more hopeful and focused on those things you have the power to control. Edie Summers, welcome to Rise here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Thank you so much, Dr. Heron. I really appreciate you inviting me. It's so lovely to be here. And you have like an amazing radio voice. I just have to say that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that compliment. Now, you wear many hats. Share with us how you became interested in wellness.
Well, I really appreciate that question. So it came from a personal experience that I had when I developed chronic fatigue in my early 20s. I had a ski accident, I had to have surgery, and I went from someone who had a lot of energy to sleeping all the time and not really feeling very good. So that drove me to look for answers. And it's a long story, but that's how I started down a wellness path, and I've been there ever since.
You mentioned earlier that you had your own issues. Speak to us a little bit about that. How did you begin to make changes in your own personal life that you started to realize were very beneficial to you?
Yes. So I was directed to go to a natural health food store I needed more natural answers to my health issues because I was getting a little bit stuck in physical therapy. Not only with getting scar tissue down in my knee, but they had me on a lot of ibuprofen, and I was on painkillers before, and my body was having bad reactions. So I was just stuck all the way around. And I was a dancer. I was a modern dance major at the time. So I was desperate for answers. And I think that helped me to look for answers. A naturopath directed me to a natural food store looking for like natural anti-inflammatories. And the whole experience of going into the natural food store and finding things that were helping me, including, of course, learning more about holistic wellness, I started to feel better. So that just changed everything. And I just became much more interested in, I want to learn more about what helped me. And of course, it's not just alternative health, it's integrative health. It's anything that helps you as a person feel better, which can be so many different things.
Absolutely agree with you. Now, you believe in holistic approach, which you shared a few things that you made changes. Why is this approach critical to one's health? Why do you feel that it's so beneficial to other individuals who may not be partaking in healthy habits, as we would like to call them?
Yeah, and I think holistic it can mean, you can spell that like WHOLISTIC, or I hope I said that right, or holistic with an H, starting with take out the W.
Right.
So holistic means kind of like everything encompassing. So it could be mind, body, spirit. You can approach well-being in a holistic way from many different levels and angles. I like to think of it as a spider's web, that you can kind of access that point of well-being on any point of the web, and it's going to make a difference because it'll reverberate throughout the whole web. So holistic is mind, body, spirit, and heart and world, universe. It's everything. It's all tied together. And when you approach well-being from that angle, there are many ways that you can improve your well-being.
Like you said, you've been on a journey to wellness? Now, many people have their own personal beliefs and maybe not be passionate about their own health. Why do you think even more today that individuals should really start to really make an assessment of the things that they're eating and just their overall, like you said, it's not just about one thing, it's about your entire health, your whether you exercise, whether you're eating the right food, just for your body, mind, and everything together.
I think that in this very modern world that we're living in, there are so many stressors that I think it's more and more critical to take care of yourself so that you have a baseline of well-being so that you can bounce back more and respond better to stressors. So I think for that reason alone, it can help lower your stress levels if you take care of yourself more. Everybody has to find their why, though. Like for me, originally my why was needing more energy. And that was what was driving me. For some people, it might be being there for your partner, your kids. Everybody has a different why, but it can be a very strong motivator. But, I think we all need more support in this world that we're living in now.
That's definitely true. Now, your belief is that healthy habits, it can refresh, reboot, or acquire for the first time. What do you mean exactly when you say that?
So every day is a new day and it's a new opportunity we often have to remind ourselves why we want to feel healthier or more well. Even if even in my situation, for instance, or maybe someone else who has a chronic health issue that they have to keep addressing, you have to kind of keep checking in with yourself. And it's an opportunity to reboot your health habits every day. You could start with mindset, we're going to be talking a little bit about the habit of hope. That can be a very simple way to kind of remind yourself gently every day, like, oh, that's right. I'm going to try to approach life from a little bit more of a hopeful perspective. But every day is an opportunity to kind of reboot. And, even if you feel like you maybe didn't do as well the previous day, and whether it's a health habit or something else, you have an opportunity the next day to start over, or even the next moment, really.
Right. It's pretty much never too late to make that change. Now,
exactly.
We're going to talk about what you briefly just mentioned, the cultivating a habit of hope. How can a person begin today to do that? Or maybe they're not familiar with the idea of cultivating a habit of hope. So speak to us about that.
Yeah, so hope usually comes from when we're struggling, right? Like we are struggling for some reason, or there's something really challenging going on, and we have this concept of hope, like, oh, I wish that things could be better. I hope that things could be better. So it can come from struggle, but that's also what's beautiful about it. The easiest way to start is to start focusing on what you can control. You could think of that as like, imagine that you're hunting for the good things. And, that can be very much tied to gratitude. But the easiest way to start is just start looking for good things that are already happening in the present moment or in your life in general. And then we can go deeper into that conversation. But I find that's an easy way to start. And also just remind yourself that hope is about possibility. Right. So even if something is really difficult is happening, there is that silver lining of hope, because things are always changing. That means things can change for the better.
Absolutely. Now, how should individuals begin to shift their mind? So you mentioned that just having hope, that's where you can start. But how could one change their mindset, especially for those who are feeling, if we may say, hopeless, right? They categorize themselves as I'm hopeless, or I don't have any hope anymore, or I give up, or just the negative thought process. How would you address that?
I really appreciate that question. And I just want to say to everyone out there that, believe me, I have been there. We all have challenges, and it can be, we can all get stuck in feeling like things aren't going to change. I would say, first of all, even though it's easy to lose track of this, try to remember that you're connected to everyone else and even something bigger than yourself. And so you're not alone. I think that might be the first step, is like realizing that there is hope, is realizing that you're not alone. Because I think if you feel like you're alone, it's very hard to have that sense of hope. So I would say start there, and that can over time improve your mindset, knowing that you have support and there is connection out there. And actually part of hope can be, actually, if you feel like you can't find that hope in yourself, reach out to someone else and try to help them, because that can actually make you feel more hopeful.
Definitely don't keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
It's important to talk to someone. You are listening to Rise on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Saran Heron, and today we're talking to my guest, Edie Summers, a consultant, wellness coach, speaker on holistic well-being and leadership. With close to 30 years of experience, she's worked in the wellness sector with startups and companies helping to move the needle on health and well-being. She is the author of the book, The Memory of Health, which helps people improve energy from chronic illness, burnout, or improve their overall well-being from any major life, health, or wellness challenge. She is here to talk about how you can cultivate the habit of hope in your life by making the necessary changes in your life. Her mission is to teach people how to be more hopeful and focus on those things you have the power to control. So, Edie, as we've been talking about cultivating hope, this habit of hope, for those individuals that may feel like a pill is needed to fix every single problem, speak to those individuals. I know you mentioned you had your own personal experience. So if you could share that together to show how you yourself had to make adjustments as it related to treatments and how it made you feel much better.
Yeah, so I think in terms of like pills or supplements, I feel kind of both ways about it, because I am a big fan of supplements, and I totally understand the desire to want to just have one single thing fix everything. Right. I've fallen into that trap, because like I said, I'm a huge fan of supplements, whether it's pills or supplements, and you want to think of them as supplemental. But again, think holistically. And usually it's the most simple things, like basic things that improve your well-being, like really healthy food, good connection, good sleep, movement. But then it's great to add those other things in. And of course, you always want to consult with a practitioner too, if you're considering doing anything like that. But I even talk about this a little bit in my book, about kind of like I forget what I call it, like the magic white pill, or kind of like the idea of like the magic pill.
Yeah, to fix everything. The pill that
they can't help people. Oh, what were you going to say?
I said the pill that fixes everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, but in some cases, medicine really can work. So it's not either or, I would say.
It's kind of like what really works for your body.
Exactly.
Now, you also suffered at some point in time, you were suffering from depression, as we would call it. And for those listeners who may fall in that category, because usually, right, if you're feeling hopeless, it goes side by side with depression. Speak to those individuals for us. How did you get from that place? What are some steps that you had to take to move from that place and become hopeful and have that habit, as we're talking about cultivating, for those who are ready to start a new journey and experience that change?
Yeah, and I appreciate you asking that. So for me, when I experienced pretty severe depression, it was when I was on a prescription anti-inflammatory that I don't do very well with prescription drugs. So my body had a very, very poor reaction to it. And I literally did feel like I was falling down a dark black hole. I couldn't get out of bed. And I don't want to say to someone that I know exactly how you feel having depression, because I had it for a short period of time, that intensely. But I had a little bit of a experience with it that I could see what that would feel like. And it was a horrible feeling. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. For me, I had to get off of that prescription anti-inflammatory, and that made a difference. However, when I was in grad school, we learned about depression, and from what I understand, a lot of stress can contribute to it, and it can be kind of more of a whole body condition. And it's also really important to make sure you seek help, because there is help out there and things can change. So make sure you're getting the support that you need. I would say that that's something else that I learned in grad school. And, maybe removing stressors might help too, but I would say definitely find a practitioner you feel like you can trust and create that very kind of positive relationship with them.
Now, you and I know that better food choices will help you feel better. Talk to us about what are some food choices now today that, are part of your diet that for sure it gives you the energy. It helps you to feel better. And it's good for your body. It's good for your wellness journey that you've been on and others could do to feel the same.
Okay, so one of the things that I make on a regular basis now, because I know that my body loves it, and also it may actually help with depression. And I want to say that as a non-practitioner as far as this goes, but I love to roast a lot of vegetables and potatoes. Potatoes are like a natural antidepressant for me. And they're supposed to help with sugar cravings too. But I would say to anyone out there in general, make sure that you learn how to cook. I had to teach myself to cook. I still have to make myself cook. I have to make sure it's one of those, like when you talk about like rebooting your habits or refreshing, I have to remind myself, okay, cooking, especially making potatoes or roasting, vegetables, fresh food, this is going to make me feel better. And it does. I really recommend learning how to cook and emphasize making fresh food for yourself. But yeah, I would say potatoes is one of those kind of medicinal foods for me. They always make me feel better. They help me sleep better. But everyone, again, has different biochemistry, so they're going to respond differently to different foods.
Now, you're also a wellness coach. So for those who are listening who are interested in becoming a wellness coach, what advice can you offer, whether to college students or just our listening audience, of what does it mean to be a wellness coach? How can they explore such a career and probably start being a coach?
Yeah, it's such a great question because wellness coaching is really taking off now. And you could also look at it as health coaching.
Agree. Yes.
Yeah. And you probably know this as a nurse. I mean, health and wellness coaches work very much in tandem with other healthcare professionals. And there are real careers out there now that pay pretty well. They actually have a national certification now that you can also get, which I highly recommend. So I got trained through Well Coaches, but there are several institutions out there that will give you the training that you need to get that national certification. So it's a thriving field now, from what I can tell. So yeah, it's a great profession to pursue.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, what are some supplements that you take daily, or you would recommend that our listeners should be taking as a part of their daily regimen? And, it's a part of their diet or whatever wellness journey they're on.
Well, and I just want to say that, so I'll share some of the things that I take. And then as far as other people go, I'm definitely not diagnosing or treating or prescribing to anybody. It would just be for informational purposes only. I tend to rotate what I'm taking because I have seen in literature that you don't want to take anything too much because your body gets used to it, brain or body. I like adaptogens, there are herbs, there are many different things you can take and different types of adaptogens that help your body adapt to stress. I like superfoods like wheatgrass, spirulina. I like multivitamins that have like a food base. I've heard a lot of practitioners say that you should take vitamin D, but again, take that with a grain of salt. And I would say definitely work with a practitioner to get a general idea of maybe what your body might need. So I'm a huge fan of supplements, but I'm actually trying to take maybe a little less than I used to, but I still do take them. one of my new favorites is coffee berry, for instance. Kind of gives your brain a little boost, and or DMAE, something like that. But I could go on and on, but I won't.
But like you mentioned, you still consult with your doctors, but there's definitely benefits with taking various types of supplements. Now,
Yes,
in terms of cultivating the habit of hope, how does that go side by side or together with good health for a person?
yeah, that's such a great question, because on a practical level, when you're feeling more hopeful, I believe it makes your body feel more calm. And that can, I believe, kind of mitigate that stress response and cultivate more of what's called the relaxation response in your body. And it can make you feel more positive. It can make you feel more happy too. And it does take practice. It takes more practice to feel hopeful and to make it into a habit, but it's absolutely doable. But I would say it's good for your nervous system, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it
And
does.
it's good for your mindset.
Yeah.
It's good for your mindset.
Change it. We got to change your mindset. You are listening to Rise on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Saran Heron, and today we're talking with Edie Summers, who is a consultant, wellness coach, speaker on holistic well-being and leadership. With close to 30 years experience, she's worked in wellness sector with startups or companies helping to move the needle on wellness and well-being. She is the author of the book, The Memory of Health, which helps people improve energy from chronic illness, burnout, or improve their overall well-being from any major life, health, or wellness challenge. She is here to talk about how you can cultivate the habit of hope in your life by making the necessary changes in your life. Her mission is to teach people how to be more hopeful and focus on the things that you have the power to control. Now, Edie, what are some of the things we want everybody to practice this habit of hope in their daily life? How do you practice this, and how would you recommend for others to begin to practice this habit of hope?
I want to say that I've been through this journey myself, so I understand how it can feel a little daunting at first, but I would say first start with gratitude. And I know that everybody is talking about gratitude these days, but it really does work. If you can start to find things that you're grateful for in your life, it can remind you of the good things that are happening in your life. So it could be grateful things that you're grateful for in the moment, because part of cultivating hope is being more present and focusing again on what you can control. But I would say start with gratitude. It makes it really easy, and then you can kind of expand out from there, and again start looking like kind of hunting for good things, expecting good things. But gratitude, I find, is the easiest place to start.
Definitely. So many things we could be grateful today for. You wrote a book. What inspired you to write that book? What was your inspiration?
Well, I have to say, I had a friend who was an English major with me, and then we worked in the natural food store together. And she said, "I don't know why you don't write a book." And I was like, I couldn't resist the challenge. So to be honest, that's the reason I started writing it. It took me 10 years to write. So at some point, the momentum, something else took over. I think I wanted to help people and maybe have like a record of like all the things that can help fatigue and chronic illness. So I gathered a lot of research, but yeah, initially it was her comment that got me started.
Good comment. Good motivation, right?
Yeah.
And how could our listeners connect with you and also get a copy of your book for those that are listening?
So first of all, I am everywhere on social media as Edie Summers. You can find me on almost all the platforms. My book, you can find, again, almost anywhere online. I did publish it on lulu.com, where the interior version is in color, which I really like. But of course, it's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and even Walmart. So it's just about everywhere online now.
Excellent. Well, congratulations to you. Now, if you had to leave one best advice with our listeners as it pertains to the habit of hope, what would that advice be to those who are listening who are inspired after a conversation that, maybe I'm not as maybe I don't have this habit of hope, or maybe I want to start to become a little bit more hopeful. What do you want to say to them today?
Well, I would say that so any habit can take time to build, but I personally think this is one of the easier habits to build because it can inform everything else. It can help your health. It can help your mindset. It can help you connect to other people. Hope is easier to cultivate than you think. Just start with gratitude and then just start to think about things you can control in your life. Surround yourself with positive people, set goals for yourself. I think you might find that pretty quickly, if you remind yourself to be hopeful and hunt for the good things, it's a pretty easy habit to pick up, and it can very gently make the rest of your life a little bit better. And so I recommend trying it. It's a great habit to have.
Well, thank you so much, Edie Summers, for joining us today. It was a real pleasure to talk to you and to listen to the great tips and advice and to just listen to you share your story with us and your journey. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Heron. Am I saying your name correctly?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I so appreciate you having me here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I'm Dr. Saran Heron. Thank you for listening today. I hope you all learned how to better care for yourselves. Think positive, shift your mindset, learn to cultivate the habit of hope, and focus on the small things that can change and have a great impact on your overall health. A holistic approach can be useful. Be sure to do your research and eat better foods, feel better, and begin to start your healing journey. Seek the right resources and educate yourself on the healthy benefits of what you eat, and have hope that you can do it. I know you can. Blessings to you until next week. Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Rise, available wherever you listen to podcasts, and always right here on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC.